So the machine can be physical, it can be your PC, it can be your laptop, it can be your server machine, any machine, then you can install the operating system. So today we will discuss first the installation portion, then
Okay.
after that the chapter 1, because in a chapter 1 there is no part of the installation, but we first discuss about some theoretical portion, some theory part and some practical part. So
Okay.
like we want to install my RHL 8 machine, it can be your VMware software or VirtualBox, Hyper-V,
KVM
KVM.
or physical machine.
So these are the basic requirements for the installation.
Okay.
So it can be your physical device, it can be your virtual device, and also on the cloud also. Then, what are the minimum requirements that you need to install all of these things? So these are the physical requirements. The RAM will be a 2 GB and hard disk space will be a 20 GB, and processor it can be Intel processor and it can be a AMD processor, and the frequency will be 1.2 gigahertz, and you required some media by which you can install this particular OS, this one.
Okay.
So it can be your DVD, it can be your pen drive, ISO image, and you can also use the network installation and network. So for the network installation, you can use Kickstart, or it's called PXE boot. If you know about the PXE, so it can be your PXE boot. So the part can be through the network, and it can be a DVD, pen drive, ISO image, network. In network, by using the Kickstart, we can install my OS.
Okay.
So in this, we will discuss the Linux OS. So you know what is OS? Linux is a
Operating.
OS. What types of OS? It's a network operating system. So we'll discuss about the network OS, network operating system.
Okay.
And it can be your client OS also, just like Windows 7, Windows 10, 8. So these are the client operating systems. We cannot configure the server on these machines, but in our
Okay.
network operating system, we can configure DNS, DHCP, web server. It's called Apache also. So in this, we are discussing about the network operating system. So what is RHL? RHL 8, this is a network operating system. Okay.
Okay.
So these are the hardware requirements to install this particular OS, RHL 8, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 version. Okay. The version can be also a RHEL 6 also. It can be RHEL 7 also. But this is the latest 8.
Okay.
It can be your 8.1, 8.1. It can be your 8.2 and 3 also available. So you can download RHEL image from the Red Hat site. So it can be 8.0, 8.1, 8.2 and 8.3. But at this time, we have only 8.0.
Okay.
So you can also download the latest version of this particular Red Hat OS. So at this time, we have this one, so
Sure.
RHL 8.0. So this is the basic requirements, physical requirements. So it's called hardware requirements, 2 GB of RAM, minimum 10 GB is sufficient to install Red Hat machine, but 20 GB is recommended. So we write here 20. 10 GB is sufficient. So it's a minimum requirements. Processor, it can be 1.2 and up 2.0, 3.0 as you want to use.
Okay.
In this we create two partition when we install Linux OS. So this is my first partition, it's called root partition. That is also known as the just C drive. That is known as in a
Yeah.
Windows. Just work as a C drive. And this is swap. Swap is just like a virtual memory. Virtual memory. So these two partition mandatory to install Linux OS. But we can also create the other partition. It can be prep. Suppose you are using IBM Power server systems. At least 3 partition will be recommended. So first one is slash, second one is swap, and the third one is prep. So these 3 are recommended.
Okay.
But we can also use slash boot as a separate partition, slash root as a separate partition, only slash, not root. It's called root partition. It's only slash. Slash home also as a separate partition we use.
Okay.
Swap. So these are the partition related information. Slash boot, slash EFI. It's a different partition. And this is the last partition. It's called prep. So these are the information regarding the partition. How much space we should assign for these partitions, especially if I am using all the partitions. So these are the minimum requirements. So it can be space 4 to 8 MB. It can be space 200 MB. And this is for swap at least 1 GB. This is a space that is assigned by the Red Hat. So I take these all information from the Red Hat site, not for other site. Other can be a different also, but this is regarding the Red Hat site. So at least for this one, and if we have the number of users, we can also use depend on the users. It can be 50 GB, it can be 55 GB, and other. So these
Okay.
the recommended partition related information that is recommended by the Red Hat. Not for the other side can be a different things, but this is the basic thing.
Okay.
RAM will be a 2 GB, 10 GB sufficient minimum requirements, and 20 GB is recommended. And processor and your media. If you have all of these information, then you can install your operating system. So
Okay.
the first one is slash, second one is swap. So these two partition is recommended for your AMD machine, for your Intel machine, and it can be your 64-bit ARM machine also.
Okay.
That is generally used in server systems.
Yeah.
And
So
power servers, it required 3 partition, slash, swap, and prep. And these information that is other from the 2 partition. These are the recommended partition. If you want to separate this particular partition, so you should require minimum 1 GB space. So what is the use of this particular space? This partition is mounted in slash boot directory. This is your directory. In this particular information is mounted. So it contains the OS related information.
Okay.
It means booting all information, all the booting files regarding to the Red Hat machine. So it contains all the information, all the files, along with all files regarding this particular OS. The OS can be a Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It's your 8 version, 8.2 version, 8.3 version. It can be a different. So minimum 1 GB is recommended for this partition. So your OS regarding information is contained in this particular partition.
Okay.
So
So
your
we will be
MBR,
configuring
this is
this.
the information regarding the MBR. If you have the your hard disk is formatted through the MBR, so this support only 2 TB of partition, because MBR support only 2 TB. If you are using more than 2 TB hard disk, you can use GPT also. GPT, GUI partition table. It's called GPT. That is in a UEFI BIOS. So you can use this particular. But at this time we are using this one, that is regarding to the master boot record. So mostly use this one, and we can also use GPT. So these are the two partition style. The first one is MBR, the second one is GPT. I will discuss all of these things in later in Asset 2 book. It has the all information regarding this. I will discuss.
Okay. So we will be manually configuring these things.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sure.
And this is regarding the slash boot information. And what is about the slash root? Only slash, not a slash root.
Yeah.
It's only the
It
slash.
represents
This is
root
only
directory.
this. It's called root partition.
Okay.
So how much space it have? It can be a 10 GB space. So it's also called root partition, just like C drive. C drive.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in this, all of your directory structure will be installed. It means all the files regarding to your OS by default it has all the files. It means all operating system files will store in this particular location. Minimum 5 GB sufficient, but for the other information, but it only for the minimum installation. If you are using only the CUI mode, if you are using only the command line user interface mode, so 5 GB is sufficient. But for the graphical mode, minimum 10 GB is recommended, is required for this. And write this particular line and tell me what is this one and what is this one and what is only this one. So this is called slash.
Represents a root directory.
Slash means root directory. But if we are using slash root, it's a root, ROOT. So this is the home directory of root user. Which particular user? Root user.
Root
so
user.
slash root means it's a home directory, because root is the super user in Linux, just like administrator.
Yeah.
In Windows we use administrator. In Linux we use root user. That is super user, administrative user. So this is root. If we say about this, so this is home directory. If we say about only this one, so it's called root partition.
Root partition.
And suppose if we say slash dev and slash sr0, so what is this one? So this work as a separator for this particular directory, and for this one is a different directory,
Okay.
and this one is a different directory. So to separate these two directories, we use slash also here. So this slash work as a separator.
Separator.
So this work as a separator to separate this one and this one. But this is also different. This is called root. This is called different directory. This is called different directory. To separate these two directories, we use slash. But here slash is a separator. So these three things are discussed here. So any doubt regarding this? This one, and this one. Any doubt here?
No doubt.
Okay. Then I will move to the next one.
Sure.
So this is called slash home. Slash home means all the users' data will be stored here, just like if we are using the Windows. So what is this? Which one? Okay, I will clear here. This one. What is this? This is the place where all the users will store your personal data. So this is the location where
Yes.
all users store its personal data. Just like same this particular users in Linux we use which one?
/home.
Particular home. So home is just like a slash users where all the user will store its personal data. So it's called the home directory of, it's called home directory.
Home directory.
For which particular user? All the regular users. So
Okay.
for a number of users that are want to store your personal data, so he can use this particular space. The space will be utilized from this particular location. So how much data you want to store here? So it required how much space?
1 GB.
Minimum 1 GB sufficient for this, but as we increase the number of users, so the space is utilized from which particular location? Slash location.
Yeah.
This space is utilized from this particular location by default. If we not use this as a separate partition, we can also use this as a separate, and we can also use from this. But mostly in a server, in a company, this is a separate partition, and this is also a separate partition. So
Okay.
it depends on the number of users, how many users you have in your company. So according to the number of user, so the space is assigned by you. But minimum, it can be 50 GB, it can be 55 GB. So it's depend on the number of users. It's not fixed size, but minimum that is 1 GB. So this is the information regarding this particular.
Okay.
Then what is the next one? That is swap. Swap means virtual memory. This one. So it's called virtual memory. It means it's a part of HDD. It's a part of your hard disk.
Okay.
This part of hard disk is used as a RAM. This part is used as a RAM, random access memory.
Okay.
So part of this particular used as a RAM, it will create the swap space. So written from, it's called the file system, that is used as a RAM, but not exactly the RAM, but for the temporary basis to store the data. So this is called swap space. Swap is a virtual memory
Virtual
size
memory.
from utilized from the hard disk. So how much space we can assign for the swap? So this is a small list for this, so we can use this. If we have 2 GB RAM, then we can use 2 times of the RAM. Suppose we have 2 GB RAM, then we can use 4 GB for the swap. 4 GB for the swap. If we have 2 to 8 GB, equal. Suppose we have 2 GB, then the swap is also 2 GB. If we have RAM 4 GB, then it also 4 GB. If we have 8 GB, it's same. So this is the same. This is the second concept. What is the third concept? 8 to 64 GB. If RAM in my physical machine, so you can use only 4 GB. 4 GB for the swap. So you can assign for the swap space, that is 4 GB. But if we are using in your system in hibernate mode, so it can be 1.5 times.
Okay.
So how much space you can assign for swap partition? So this is the list. If we have more than 64 GB of RAM in my system, so 4 GB is sufficient, but not recommended for the hibernation mode.
Okay.
Because you have sufficient RAM, so you don't need to use swap memory, but 4 GB is sufficient. So this is the space regarding information regarding the swap partition. How much space we can assign for the swap. So this is the information. And this is regarding the /boot EFI. If we have the UEFI BIOS and we want to use UEFI BIOS, so this space is recommended to create. By default, how much space we should assign for this? 200 MB. And also maximum space, how much space we can assign? 600 MB for the EFI partition.
Okay.
Or we can say that UEFI, or in another word, GPT partition. If we are using the GPT partition style, then this particular partition is recommended. But for the MBR partition, there is no need of this particular partition. And this is only recommended for the IBM server. Not for all, only for the IBM power servers. So this space is used to store the booting related information.
Okay.
For the boot partition. So this partition is also known as the boot partition. So to your boot the IBM server machines, this space is recommended for that. So this is the space requirement about the partitions. So in Windows we require only C partition, but in this we can have multiple partition. The partition is can be a slash partition. The partition can be a swap partition, but these two is recommended. But for the other, so we can also create different partition like boot partition. This is recommended. Default. Like home partition, this is also recommended, and like slash boot EFI. So these are the information regarding the partition. Okay. When we install the OS, then I will again discuss what are the space that you can assign for different partitions and how we create these partition when we install my OS. Then this is recommended. So these are the theoretical portion regarding the partitions. Then we will discuss about how to install my OS. Okay. So we start my VMware machine, this one. Then this one, click on create a new virtual machine, this one. Then click on next button. I will install the operating system later. By default, this is assigned by default, this one. Suppose if we have no information, what are the partition and how many partitions we should create, then use this one. This will not ask you anything. It will install automatically. But we use this one for the manual installation. So we should need to give the information. So this required, and by default this is selected, but select Linux operating system. In this we have different flavors. You can use Red Hat also, you can use SUSE, Turbo Linux, Ubuntu, and other operating system also. But at this time we are using this one, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 64-bit. So select this one. Then next, give any name.
Okay.
This one. So we assign then next here. So 20 GB is automatically assigned. It means it's a 20 GB of hard disk. If you want to increase this, so you can increase. So this is the recommended. That is for the RHEL 8. But we increase this to 100 GB. It's a hard disk space. If we create the partition in this hard disk, so we can assign 10 GB, 20 GB as I want. Then click only just next. And then customize hardware. So in this, there 2 and 3 things are recommended. The first one is memory. How much space for the memory? That is 2 GB. And processor, it is by default 1, and we can increase this also. So click on this particular option, virtualization, for the virtualization support. you can use here number of cores. How many cores you want to assign? Select only 2. You can also use 4. You can also use 6 as you have. But 2 is sufficient for you. Then give the media location. What media you have? You can have a CD, you can have a DVD, pen drive, ISO image. At this time we have the ISO image. Then browse here. Then click RHEL 8, open. Then you can use this particular option. Other options you can also select. But these 3 that are recommended for you. So we use here, then click on this one. There is no need to select here. So we use this one, and this one. Then all will be the same, no issue. Then click on close, then finish. Then power on this machine. So my virtual machine will be ready for the installation. Then click on this particular wizard. Then this is the first wizard. The first is test this media. If you want to test this media, you can click on this one, but I don't want this, so I will install only. So install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.0, 8.1, 8.2, anything you have. Then click on this one, first wizard. Then so this is your first wizard. That is, what language would you like to use during the installation? So select English here. And again, you want to select your country, just like English, India, and anything that you want. Then continue. So in this is the recommended. So this particular sign and red sign here also. This is recommended, but these you can have same. There's no need to edit anything. But here this is the same English, also English India. Here time, it's a New York time zone. Select your time zone. Click on the map of India. Then region is Asia, cities Kolkata. You can select that NTP server also. If you have NTP server, you can on this particular information. So it will take time from the NTP server, but at this time we don't have NTP server, so it's not on and off. At this time we don't have. Then select the timing. You want to select 24 hours. It's 12 hours that you want. Suppose AM. So this is a wrong time information. I will select this correct. So it's 12 and 59. It's 59. Then AM. So then done here. So these 3 options will be selected. Then installation media. Not. This is already selected. This is SR0. SR0 means it's your CD-ROM, DVD-ROM. So if you have the network related information, you can give the information regarding the network. It can be your HTTP, FTP, anything you can install. You can give the information. So the installation is from the network also. But at this time we don't have. So I will not select here anything. Just CD-ROM, local media. This is software selection. So in this, by default, this option is selected, that is GUI. If you want to install your machine in only a CLI mode, which option I will select? This one. So this one is for the CLI, command line interface. Only the command line interface will be installed. So in this CUI and GUI, both options will be selected. So select this one. In RHEL 7, this is the default mode. In RHEL, this is the default mode. So that is difference between 8 and 7. If you want to need to install FTP server, Samba server, NFS server, so you can tick on this. But at this time, we don't want these all of things. So there is no need to select these because we install these after the installation. So select only this one, then done here. So this 3 part and 2 parts, total 5 parts will be completed. Then click on the installation portion. So click on this one. Then you can use automatic also, and you can also use custom also. So at this time we use custom because I want to define. So what is the size of slash, what is the size of boot, what is the size of slash home. So I want to define this manually. So I will select here custom, then done. In this, the by default LVM is selected, but change this one to standard partition. You can also use automatic installation, or automatic create partition information also. So this will create all the partition automatically like this. Suppose if I am selected this one, so these 4 partition will be created automatically and space will be assigned automatically. So how much space for the slash? That is 50. How much space for the slash boot? It's 1 GB, it's 2 GB, and it's 146 GB. So we have 200 GB hard disk. So this partition related space information will be assigned automatically. But I want to change this one. So how I can? So click on remove button. This remove all the information. Then click on standard. Then we will create slash separately, swap separately, home, slash boot, all the partition manually according to my choice, according to my space, not automatic space. Then click on this add button. Click slash. It means just C drive. So this is my slash partition. So how much space we should assign here? That I have to tell you. How much space? Swastis, how much space we should assign?
Slash for at 1
Or
GB
slash.
recommended.
So 10 is minimum. 10 GB is minimum. But we Reddit recommend you 20 GB. So 20 GB is recommended size and 10 GB is sufficient. 10 GB is minimum. Minimum is you can install the graphical installation.
Okay.
So 10 GB. This is the minimum, but for the recommended, so we assign the recommended size. So give here 20 GB. Then click on add mount button. So this partition will be created. So this is called NVMe. So what is NVMe? You have the any information regarding NVMe? As you know that the hard disk can be a SATA, ID, SSD. You have the information
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this?
Yeah, I know about those.
So
But
this is just like SSD. So in
okay.
SSD, it's called NVMe, non-volatile memory. This is your
Okay.
first hard disk. So just like disk 0, disk 1, in a Windows we use disk 1, disk 0. So it's called NVMe. 0 means first disk. N1, P1, it means first partition. When we create another partition, it's called P2, P3,
Okay.
P4. So just like we can recognize this is your first partition, second partition, third partition, like this. Then we create another partition, that is swap. Swap is the second partition. So I will assign the space 2 GB. So this will become a second partition. It's called P2.
Okay.
But when I select the boot, so boot will have the first priority. So this priority will be changed automatically. This will become P1, this will become P2, and this will become P3. I will show you this one. So this has the first priority because all the booting related information contained in slash. We can use this separate. If we not assign this particular partition, this will take space from this one. Slash boot will take space from this one. So these two are recommended. If we want to assign slash boot as a separate, so we can also give the space separately. So this will become a separate partition and this will become a separate partition. So I will assign here 1 GB. So check here. This will become first partition. This is P1. This will become P2 and this will become P3. Suppose if I assign a slash home, so this will become a P5.
P5.
What? P5, because P4 is for the extended partition, so it will create an extended partition first, then create the logical partition. So I assign, at this time we have 177 GB, so we will give 100 GB for this particular partition. So as I told you, this will become fifth partition, not fourth, because the fourth partition is for the extended partition. In extended partition, we can create the logical drive. So this is just like a logical drive. This is your first partition, this is your second partition, this is your third partition, but fourth partition will not show in this particular.
Okay.
But I will show this separately so you can see your fourth partition will create or not. Then I will show this. Okay.
Okay.
So this is your first, this is your second, this is your third, and fourth one is extended. In extended, we can create logical drive. So this one show you, not this one. This not show you. Then I will create then click on done. So end out here. So this is, you can check here the fourth one. No, not showing in this also. So apply changes. Then there's no need to select here kdump. Kdump is a space that is assigned from the RAM. So it will utilize the space from the RAM. If you want to disable this, so it's not use space from the RAM. If you want to use this, you can use. So it's for to capture the information when your system will be crashed. So it will capture the information. At that time, this space will utilize. Okay. So enable this. There's no need to disable this. And you can also enable your network card. So enable this. So this will obtain the IP address from the DHCP server. So this will be enabled. If you want to disable this, you can enable after the installation. Okay. It's on your choice. If you want to assign the host name here, you can give the host name. And you can also enable your network card. So I will enable the network card, not change this one, then done. There is no need to change this one. This is by default on. It's called SE Linux. It's your security portion. So there is no need to change this one. But this one you can change. At this time, this is not specified, also not specified, also not specified. Role, service, license agreement, uses. In a production environments, you want to use this. In a deployment environments, you want to use this. Disaster recovery. So select here, server, because this is a network operating system. It's a server operating system. So where you can design the servers, and this is my self support and for the testing purpose. So we want to install this Linux server, self support and testing environments. So according to your choice, you can select premium, standard, production, disaster recovery. So it's on your choice.
Mhm.
Then done here. So these all information will be complete. The first one is keyboard, second one is language selection,
Which time?
third one for the time zone information. This is for you want to install through the network, through the local media. GUI you want to use, CUI you want to use, installation destination, KDUM, host
Network,
name, network settings,
security
security
policy, and
settings. The
system.
last one is system purpose. So these all will be completed. Then click on begin
Next.
installation. Then give the password for the root and password for your regular user that you want to assign here. So give the password. So any password you can assign. So done two times, not one time. Press done again, then two times. Then give any name here. Swathis, Thish. It's correct spelling
Yeah,
of your
that's
name.
good.
Okay. Then if you want to assign this particular user as a super user, as an administrator user, then click on this one. So this will become as
Okay.
a super user, like root. If I'm not
Okay.
selecting, this will work as a regular user. It means normal user. So I will
Okay.
select here as a super user, then give the password for this particular user, this one. Then when we click done one time, it will say me two times, then again done,
Okay.
this will be completed. So at the time of the
Done.
installation, how many packages it have? 1320. By default, RHL7 have 1180, 1180, it can be 89, 1189.
Okay.
So this is the all partition information. 1189 in RHL7. So this is the default. If we select another option, it will be increase. This one.
Okay.
So it will take 4 to 5 minutes. So I will wait for 2 and 3 minutes. Then I will start.
Sure.
So it will take only 1 minute. Then it will complete. Vim common, these are the packages. So manual packages. Then last one, that is installing the bootloader. The
Okay.
bootloader in Linux, that is grub. GRUB grub. That's a bootloader. Then last one, that is initramfs. Initialization random access memory file system. It's a initf ramfs.
Okay.
This is generating this one. Then this will complete. So it will take according to your the system speed. It can be 10 to 12 minute minimum. But at this time this take will 2 and 3 minute. Then click on reboot. Okay. Then reboot the machine. Then select your first option. Then after this, only 2 and 3 information will ask you. So this information, what is this? It's called initial setup. In this, you should recommend this one, not this. So this is your license information. So it's called EULA. EULA means End User License Agreement. It has all information. So this is conducted by the GNU public license. So this is the license related information. What is this? This is your company. It has a lot of information.
Okay.
You can read this, but there's no need to read this. So done here. So it's your end user license agreement for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And you can also use its application, just like I have told you about the Ansible. Ansible is what? That is an application that is provided by the Red Hat also.
Okay.
So you can use its application. This is the OS related information. So done here. This one. So click on this one, then done. So this will be completed. Then click on
finish configuration.
Finish configuration. So this is your first wizard. So this is called login screen. In this, there are two options. The first for the regular user, the second for the super user. And you can also log in through the regular user also. But root is not showing you here.
Yeah.
So when you want to log in through the super user, give the root username, then you can next. But first we use this one. So click on this particular user, then provide the password. So this is your first wizard, this one. So this is your first welcome wizard. Then select your language here, then next. Typing information, then again next. And this is the location information, then again next. Then this is your account related information, then skip this one. If you want to use, then you can use this one. And if you want to skip this, then you can skip here. Then skip this one. Then start your RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux machine. Then this is the information regarding the help. So you can get help here, then cancel this one also. So this is the login information. You can log in through your standard user, through your normal user. If you want to log in through the root user, you can log in. Then log out here from this particular user. Then I will show you through the root user. Give the name root here. Then next, provide the password. Then sign in again. So this is the same. When we log in any user first time, this is the same for other user. It can be regular user, it can be root user, any user.
So the
Click on
password
next.
for the root user will be same as the regular one.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
This same for any user. Just for typing information, what type of information you want to
Yeah, yeah.
select, English India, English Canada, anyone that you want. Then next, then this is the location. If you want to off this particular location, then off this particular, then on, if you want to on, then on this particular, then
Okay.
next here, then skip this particular, then start this one. So this is the information regarding the installation. So what type of information you should provide for different wizard. So any doubt here?
No doubts.
So this is about the installation process. The what
Okay.
types of requirements we should have, and what are my hardware requirements we should have. So minimum
The
2
partitions.
GB is recommended, 10 GB recommended, this particular frequency recommended, and minimum one media you should have. It can be your network, it can be your ISO image,
Pen
it
drive or
can be your
DVD.
pen drive, DVD, any types of media you can have. Then these two partition recommended, but you want to assign the different partition, so you should have these information. Minimum
Okay.
1 GB for this, minimum
Boot
10
default.
GB for this, and this is for the slash
Yes.
home, but mostly we use this one.
Yeah.
This one is used when you not create this particular partition as a differently. So this space minimum requirements use for the home, and swap, and this is for the boot EFI, and this is for the. So this all information completed. So any doubt regarding these one, then we will start this third point.
Yeah, we can move forward.
So you know what is this? This is called desktop, as
Yeah.
you know that. Just like in Windows, it's called desktop. Just same for this, it's also called the desktop. This one.
Okay.
So in this desktop, we want to work in a graphical mode and in a command line mode. So if you want to work in a command line mode, so you should open any terminal here. So if you want to open the terminal, so you should click on activities wizard, this one.
Okay.
So you can see here, this one is the terminal. So your command prompt will appear. So in this prompt, you can type any command. So to type any command, you should have a terminal. So there are different ways to open the terminal. I will show you. And if you want to provide the network related information, you can see the graphical also. This is for the Bluetooth. This is for the root information. You can log out here. You can provide the setting also here. So these are the default. So in this, we can select all of these information. If you want to shut down my machine, you can click power off. If you want to restart, we can click on this one. If you want to cancel, click on this one. So these are the basic information that we should have. So we should start from this one. Suppose if we want to type any command. So terminal is requirements. Terminal is just like CMD.
Yeah.
Suppose in Windows, we want to provide here CMD.
We'll get command.
And this is your prompt. Prompt means where you can type any command. So in this, it's called command prompt. But Linux, it's called terminal,
Okay.
where we can type any command, just dir. So dir is a command that can be typed from which particular prompt. It's called CMD, command line interface. So for the command line interface, so we required a interface. Interface means a platform where we can type the command. So just for same in Linux, we required a platform where we can type any command. So terminal is a platform where we can type any command. Just like we can type dir here also, we can type ls here also. So for typing any command, so we should have a terminal. So in Linux, it's called terminal. So in Linux, there are two types of two types of terminal. Terminal. The first one is physical, and the second one is virtual. So have you knowledge about this one and this one? Any knowledge regarding physical terminal, virtual terminal? Any information regarding these?
No, but from the words I can guess the one which we are working on is physical terminal.
Okay. And any
And
other information regarding this? Okay, I will show you.
okay,
I will discuss this one later. First, this one. So I will show you, because if we want type any command, so which particular console we should have? Terminal. So what is terminal? Terminal is a text-based interface, just like command prompt, CMD. CMD is also a text based interface where we can type any command.
okay,
So if we want to use any command, so to give the command information by the user, terminal is recommended. So terminal is also called, it's also called console. Terminal, we can say this as a console. So there are two types of console. The first one is physical console or physical terminal also we call this, and we also call this virtual console. So physical console is known as TTY and virtual console is known as PTS. So what is TTY? TTY means teletype. It's called teletype. What is PTS means? P means pseudo, T means terminal, S means slave. It's called pseudo terminal slave. So how many terminal we have in a Linux? Linux has 6 terminal that can be opened by a key combination, that is Control, Alt and your function key, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6. So we can open 6 physical terminal, but you can open multiple virtual console. It can be your this one. This is called virtual terminal. PTS1, PTS2, PTS3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So it can be up to 6, but it's only 6. So how many physical console we can open? Only 6.
only 6.
But in graphical mode, we can open multiple console. It can be up to 6. It means 64 and above. I will show you, then you can understand this particular concept better.
Sure.
So I will show this. So at this time, two types of console. This is your physical console. This is your graphical, and this is
Yeah.
called your physical console. So in this console, we can create multiple virtual console. So virtual console, this is called a virtual console. So how I can recognize this is virtual or physical? Type here one command, that is TTY. TTY is also a command. When we type TTY, it will show me this is dev, this is PTS, this is 0. It means this is my first virtual terminal, virtual console.
But TTY is related to physical terminal, right?
No, this is a command. At this time, this is a command.
Okay.
This command will show in you are working in a physical console or you are working in a virtual console. When we
Okay.
see here TTY, so it's called physical console. When we see here
Okay.
VTS, it means it's a virtual console. So we can
Mm-hmm.
open multiple virtual console. So which
Okay.
key you will use? You can open here tab. So when you type file, then again tab. So this is your another virtual console. So this is called 1. This is called
Okay.
0.
0.
So these are the virtual console. When we type
Okay.
again
Okay.
new tab, this
It
is
will be
called
2.
TTY
Yes. PTS 2.
2. So again we type again and again. So how many console we can open? So this one, we type here TTY. More than
PTS
6,
8.
you can see here,
Yes.
it's a 8. It means more than 6. So these are the virtual console. What?
Okay.
This is open in a GUI mode. So this is my GUI mode, graphical mode.
Yeah.
Then what is GUI? When you type Control Alt F3, F4, F5, F6. So that is for the CLI prompt.
Okay.
When you want to open CLI, then you can use from F3 to
F6.
F6. The CLI. For GUI, it's for F1, it's for login screen. Login screen.
Okay.
And F2 for GUI. This one. Then F3 for the CLI, F4, F5, F6. When we type this particular key combination, Control Alt F3, then we type Control Alt F3. Then your command line prompt will open. See here. When we type F3, see here. This is your another screen.
Okay.
This one. This one.
Yeah.
So type here username, that is root, and it can be other. It's for your regular user. It can be your root user. So type here root. Then give password also. So username, password. It's called credential. So you should provide here credential. Your user information, your password information. Then you can log in. So I will provide the root as a username and password for this particular. So you can see here.
Okay.
At this particular time, it have login on TTY2, but this is my
Yeah.
TTY3. This is my which particular mode? This is my TTY3.
Yeah.
So when we see here, what is this mode, TTY1 or TTY2? To type this particular command. Then you can see here. So which particular
TTY3.
mode it have? This is your physical console, not a virtual console.
Yeah.
So you can see a TTY3. It means this is your physical console,
Console.
or we can physical terminal. So physical terminal is indicated by the TTY1 to TTY6.
6.
TTY1 to TTY6. And virtual console is denoted by PTS.
Yes.
So I will show this again. And we want to open the new terminal. So we open Control Alt F4, F5, F6. We type F6. Then your username. So username is SWAS, not SWA,
THISH.
THISH. This one. Then give the password here. So this user will be logged in by using this particular name. And in which particular console it will work. So type here TTY.
TTY.
So this will show me in this particular terminal, this particular user is working.
Okay.
But at the earlier time, This is on TTY2. So the graphical mode is in RHEL 8. The GUI is on which particular console? On TTY2. In this particular GUI, you can open multiple PTS. It means multiple pseudo
Physical.
terminal. In this console, we can open multiple virtual console, just like same way.
Yeah.
So this is regarding the console. So how many console we can open in Linux? 1 to
1 to
6.
6.
It means total 6. That is physical. And in this
Virtual
physical,
mode.
there is one GUI. From these, there is one GUI mode. In this GUI mode, we can open multiple virtual console.
Which can be more than 6.
But in RHEL 8, the first mode is for the login screen. For the login screen. Second for the GUI. These are the fixed by default. And third to 6. These are for the CLI. So this is all information regarding the console. So any doubt here?
No doubts.
Okay. Then I will show this again. So what is terminal? Terminal is a
Text-based
text-based
interface.
interface where we can put any command. So there are two types of console, two types of terminal. The first one is physical, the second one is virtual. So TTY means teletype, PTS means pseudo terminal slave. So P is in this silent. So it's called pseudo.
Sudo.
So we can open this by using key combination. Suppose if your F1, F2, F3 is not working from your keyboard, then what you will do? If these options not working, then we are unable to open the terminal. Then what you will do? I will show you. Suppose you want to open here, you want to go in a TTY1, TTY2. Then what you will do? You can also use the command. It's called chvt, change virtual terminal.
Okay.
And which particular terminal you want to go? This one. So it's for GUI. So I will reach on GUI mode. So this is your GUI. Then give the password. Again, I will move to F3. In this type again, this particular command. chvt, then type 2. 2 means GUI. So you will move to GUIs because this is your graphical interface.
Yeah.
And you want to move T6. So it will move to 6. See here. So this is your 6. So by this particular command chvt, you can change the terminal. If your key combination is not working, it means F1 is not working, F2 is not working, then you can use which particular command? chvt. Then give the terminal name. So this is the command. You can use also the command. Okay.
Okay.
Then, so this is for the graphical, this is for the CLI. So this is a note here. In RHEL 8, GUI is available in which particular terminal? That is on TTY2. And TTY1, which terminal is available? The login screen is on TTY1 and the login prompt is on TTY2, and you can open F3 to F6, that is CLI prompt. But in RHEL 6, in RHEL 7, login screen and login prompt both are the same, that is TTY1. And from the TTY2, it's start the CLI prompt. Okay. From TTY2, it's start CLI prompt, TTY2 to TTY6, all for the CLI prompt. Clear? Start the resuming. So, as I've told you, this has been completed.
Yeah.
So I have completed this one. So
Okay.
I am telling you, in RHEL 8 the GUI is available on which particular TTY2, this one,
Okay.
and the login screen is available on TTY1, and the CLI prompt is available on F3 to F6. So, but if we are using RHEL 6 and RHEL 7, your both your login screen and login prompt both are available on
TTY one
TTY1,
X.
and from the TTY2 to TTY6 all CLI prompt will be available.
Okay.
So from this one and this one, you can use this. But if we are using RHEL 5, RHEL 5 has 7 terminal, because here we have how many terminals?
6.
6. But in RHEL 5, if we are using this particular older version, there are 7 terminal. 6 for CLI prompt, CLI, and 1 for the graphical. So we have 7 terminal, 6 here and 1 here. Total will become 7. Clear
Okay.
in this concept?
Yeah.
So this one. So this is all about the terminal. So I hope there is no issue regarding the terminal.
Yes, it's clear.
Yes. Then we will start from this one. So have you information what is BASH? BASH.
The hash commands.
So BASH is just like a program. What is BASH? BASH is a program where we put any command. So the full form of BASH is GNU. This is your project name that is started by the in a Linux GNU project. So this is the open operating system project. So this is called BASH. BASH means born again shell. B means born, A means again, SH means shell.
Yeah.
So this is your program. So program name is this one. So when you type any command, this command inform this particular program, that is BASH, that is contained in this particular directory. So this is the location of your default shell. So what is BASH? This is a program that interpret your command. When you type command, suppose you have typed this command, so this will inform to the BASH this is right or wrong. If we have any issue in this command, this will show me an error. This is not found in this particular program. So any user type any command, this is interpreted by this particular program. The program name is BASH. So what is BASH? BASH is the program where we type all the commands. All the command will be interpreted by this particular program. Okay.
Okay.
So what is my default program? This is the default that is used earlier, and this one BASH, this is the improved version of the SH. So it's called born shell, and this called born again shell. So when you log in on any terminal, there are two types of sign. The first one is $sign, the second one is hash sign. See here, I will show you. So what is this? This one. So we use F2 here, TTY2, CHVT2. So, okay. Okay, I will create a new user. A user add. This is the command. I will create a user. This is user one.
Okay.
User add. I will type this again. Okay, this user will be created. So login this particular user. So for login, this is a su command. Then give the name of the user. This one. So see here. Which sign here? This is hash sign.
Hash.
And in this one. Which sign here? This one. So
Dollar.
there are two types of sign. The first is this sign, or then for the root, that is hash sign. So this sign indicate the user that is login on this machine, that is a super user. So what is the super user? That is root. So this sign will be shown. And for this regular user, so this sign will appear. So we can use the machine by using the regular user, and we can use my machine by using the root user. For the root user, this particular sign, and for the regular user, this particular sign. So what is this? Can you tell me about this one? What is this?
It's a different symbol.
This one. So this indicate about the home directory. This is the sign of home dir.
Oh, okay.
All. It can be your regular user, it can be your root user. And this one is your user, and this is a separator that separate your username and your domain name. And this is your host name.
Okay.
In which particular host you are working. So we are working in a local host machine, and by which particular user? Root user. So this is the information regarding the user, and this is the information regarding the host name, and this is the home directory, and the last one is the sign. You are working by the root user and by the regular user. So it can be this particular sign, and it can have this sign. By default, this is the sign, but we can also change this sign also. But in bash program, this is the default sign that is provided by the bash shell.
Okay.
Bash program. Suppose if we change my shell, the sign will be changed. Suppose we are using sh shell, the sign will be changed. You can see here, there is no information regarding the user, regarding your host name, and regarding your current working directory. But this sign will be same, because this is my sh shell and this is my bash shell. So at this time we are working in this program, or earlier we are working in this program. So this is your bash shell information, this is your sh. So this, the information in which particular shell you are working. If we exit from this particular program, then exit. So this is SSL and this is your bash shell. So bash is, it's a program where you type any command. By default, you are using which particular shell? That is bin bash. So bin bash is an improved version. If we are log in by using the regular user, this sign will appear. If we are log in your system by using this particular user, so this sign will appear. So bash is used enable a user to execute any command on which particular program? This particular program.
Okay.
So we use what types of language in Linux? We use scripting language. So for any types of automation, we can use this particular language. It means it's called bash shell scripting. By this particular scripting, we can perform any types of automation task. But at this time, we are not discussing about this. So we complete all the basic commands, not the type of automation task. So what is bash? Bash is just like a CMD that is used in a Microsoft machine. So this is all about the shell. So any doubt here?
No doubts.
Then we discuss only this point. Then on the next class we discuss all other things. So only this one. So what is the basics of shell? Suppose if you are using any command in this particular shell program, so what you will require? You should have the knowledge about the commands, and you should also have the knowledge about the options and what types of argument you should type. So these three components will require to run any command. You can also use individual commands sometimes, and sometimes we need some options, and sometimes we need some arguments. Then the command will complete. So these
Okay.
three options, so these are the basic components to run any command on the shell program. Suppose I want to list anything. So what we will use? ls. And suppose we want to list any particular file folder with the permission. So what I will use? -l. So this is the option. Suppose we want to list any individual program. It means individual file. So suppose my file name is f1. So this is called f1. So this is your command. This is your option. This is your argument.
Argument.
So these three concepts will require to list this particular file information, and it can be your directory and directory information. So we can use just suppose we at this time we have one option that is user add. This is my command, and I want to assign the user ID for this particular user. So we can use this option, and this is your argument. So at this time, user add is a command, and -u is a option. And what is this? This one is a argument. So
Okay.
any doubt here?
No doubts.
So I will show this. Suppose we want to create a user. Suppose save option. And we give the username, this one. So what is this? This is your command.
Command.
And what is
an
this? This is
argument.
your argument. But
Yep.
at this time, we don't type any option. So this user will be create. You can see here, passwd note. This user will be created, but at this time, it will take the user ID according to this particular scope. So at this time, this is 1001, then it will place 1002. Then when we create user 3, it will take 1003, then the and so on. But we want to assign this manually. So what I will do? So we should use option. What type of option?
Hyphen
U
U.
option. And which ID you want to assign? Suppose 5003. We want to assign this particular ID. So this is your command. This is your option. And this is your
Argument.
These three options will required if you want to configure this particular ID and username. If I'm not in this one, so this is not a complete command. This will show me an error. So what types of it will show me? This will show me command is recommended, option also recommended, and the third one for the argument. So you should use the argument also. Then the command will be complete. So then type here user 3. So check cat/etc passwd. Cat/etc passwd. Check here.
It's created.
So it will not take according to the sequence.
Yeah.
I have assigned this 5003. It will take this one. but I will show this option in chapter 6 also.
Okay.
But just here was show you what are the basics of shell. So for
Mhm.
completion any command, you should have three components. You should know about the three components. The
Command
first one is
options and
about the
arguments.
command, what is option, and what is the arguments. So
Okay.
this is all about shell basics.
Well,
So I have completed how many things about the installation portion, hardware requirements portion,
yeah.
and these are all about the partition related information. Then what is bash and what is shell
Yeah.
basics. So these
Terminal.
5 points I have completed.
Yeah.
This one. Then in the next class we will discuss this one. Next session on 29/01/11/20. Okay.
Okay.
And from this point we will discuss on the next session. This one.
Okay. Sure.
So if you want to ask anything, then you can ask.
So since it's very basic, I don't have any doubts.
Okay, okay.
So,
So
but it's good
these,
to learn about this.
okay. So these document and its video that will be provided on your ID.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
So then, okay, bye.
Okay. Sure. Bye.